Hello, and thank you for joining us today for the webinar. We will get a first look at RentWatch5, Go Sections 8 newest rent reasonableness tool. Richard Cupelli, founder of Go Section 8, will be leading the webinar today. He has over 20 years of real estate experience specializing in affordable housing. Take it away, Rich.
Good morning, afternoon, everybody. We're just going to jump right into this. We're going to demo the new rent reasonableness software for you. Before we do that, we're also going to just have a couple slides. There's a little more than RentWatch5 to announce. We've been working pretty hard. So if you guys don't mind, we're just going to get started. And if you have any questions along the way, please just type them into the message box. We're going to save those, queue them up, and save them for the end. And we'll take all questions as they come and respond at the very end. Go ahead and go to the next slide for me. Apparently can't. All right. Next. All right, perfect. So here's the agenda for this quick webinar. We're going to go over what we do at Go Section 8 really quickly, one slide. Then we're going to jump right into the new dashboard. Like I said, this is a little more than just RentWatch5 and rent reasonableness. We actually rewrote the entire rent reasonableness side, the agency dashboard, and I'm going to demo that for you today. We're going to discuss the new web-based version of RentWatch5 and a new API, which I'm really excited to talk to you guys about. But this is also part of RentWatch5. What it is it's a piece of software. It's an API that allows you to integrate directly into your housing authority software. And we're going to go over some new data enhancements. Go ahead, Sarah, please.
Can you ask if everyone can hear?
Yeah, can everybody hear okay? We're getting some comments that some people can't hear anything. If you can, go ahead and reply in the box, please. Okay. All right. It sounds like the sound's back on. Some of you had some problems. We apologize. All right. Next slide. All right. GoSection8.com was founded in 2004. It's been a while. We currently have over 400 agencies using our software. Some of the biggest in the country use Go Section 8. We support thousands of concurrent users, and in addition to our housing authority users, we've got thousands and thousands of tenants that are on the website at any point in time. And we also have lots of landlords visiting. I'm sure you guys are aware of that. To date, this is a pretty big number. We've actually performed over 3 million rent reasonableness certifications since we started. We are web-based, and the software doesn't require any installation and no maintenance. And all of the stuff that we're going to be showing you today is included in your subscriptions for current users. We don't charge for upgrades, but we do continuously upgrade our software. The new dashboard is what we're going to take a look at first. For those of you that have been using Go Section 8 for a while, you'll see the old dashboard in the top left. That was the agency page. That's what it used to look like. We've gotten to the point where we've completely rewritten that from scratch. And there's a brand new dashboard and a brand new look and feel to RentWatch5. Go ahead and go to the next page, please. So here's a quick preview of the new dashboard. You'll see at the very top section, there's a rent reasonableness certification section. And we've designed this with some metrics so that you can have your KPIs. That's the stuff that's important to administrators at a glance. You'll see that we included some information on how many of the certifications have been quality control certified. We actually improved the process of QCing certification, so it's much quicker, much easier. We also show you at a glance how many comparables are being added to your database, so you can have a handle on how many comps you have and how good of a job we're doing entering in comps for your jurisdiction. This information is specific to your jurisdiction. We also added some information on property unit listings. We're showing you how many listings you're getting in real time, so when you log in, you'll see how many listings you've gotten today versus the prior 30 days. And these numbers continue to roll. One thing that we did is we added in how many listings expire so you can see how many listings we're removing as well. You can also have quick links to request comparables, which is nice. So if you need comps, you can click that, and we'll go ahead and get you comps like we always do, usually within 24 hours. We're pretty good about turning that around. Then these two new features are really interesting, but we have landlord and tenant outreach, which we've integrated into the new dashboard, and these allow for email marketing. And the nice thing about this is that the markets are so tight right now that we've got to do everything we can to reach out to owners. We also want to keep your families apprised of what your housing authority is doing. So we will do email marketing for you as part of our service. And that's something that's a little bit out of scope for RentWatch 5, but I just wanted to make you guys aware of it. Next slide. Oh, let me go ahead and switch to mouse mode. Go ahead. Good. Go ahead, try it now. Yep, don't click there, click here. All right. Can we get to the next slide? There you go. All right. Here's some differences between RentWatch 4 and RentWatch 5. This is going to give you a summary or an at a glance of what we've made to, what enhancements we've made to RentWatch 5. The first thing that we did is we made it a lot faster. RentWatch 5 gives you a result a lot quicker than RentWatch 4 did, and it also does a better job of assisting you with data entry. We can pretty much predict what it is that property, the subject property contains, property details with our data, and we do a lot of the data entry for you. We've also improved the number of comparables that you have in your report. RentWatch 4 was limited to 3 comparables, and RentWatch 5, you can have up to 9. So for those situations where you have a rent reasonableness report that you really need to defend, you might have an issue with an owner, you can actually put in 9 comps now to really have a defendable report if that's something you want to do. We've also improved the location accuracy. The RentWatch 4 software typically got you within 2 miles, but it required you to interact with the map and to select potentially closer comparables manually. The accuracy now, what we did with RentWatch 5 is we've improved the location algorithm so that it usually finds comps within a quarter mile. So you're going to get comps that are much closer with this version of the software. We've also added some new stuff. This is a really big one, affordability. So RentWatch 5 will determine whether or not the property is affordable using the 40% rule. Not only is it reasonable, but is it affordable? We've added things like street view. We've even added photos, which is coming. We have photos on a lot of these properties. We use them on the listing side. We show them to your families. Why not show them to you? So you'll start seeing photos for these subject properties. You'll be able to see the kitchens, the bathrooms. It's going to give you guys a really good indication of what the quality of the subject unit is like. We've improved the public records feed, and we've also added foreclosure alerts and delinquent tax alerts. So the delinquent tax alert will tell you whether or not the subject property is in any form of default. And the same thing with the pre-foreclosure alert. Is the landlord current on their mortgage payment or not? Are they behind? We also added enhanced address verification, improved the mapping, and this is a really big part of why we rewrote everything, is we wanted to make it work on mobile phones. So RentWatch 5 and everything that you're looking at today, including the dashboard, has been designed to go mobile. So all of this stuff will actually work on a mobile phone, any type of mobile phone, and you'll see that very, very soon. Okay, this is probably one of the most exciting things about the new RentWatch 5 software, is that it's powered by something called an API. So it actually integrates into your housing software. So you can actually use RentWatch 5 from the web-based version, which I'm going to demo you today, or you can actually use it from within your housing software. So the housing software version works much faster. It'll actually give you a rent reasonableness result in about a second or two. So it'll pull in your report almost instantaneously. The nice thing about the API is that it's zero data entry. And the reason that it is because it's reading the data to perform rent reasonableness from your current housing database. It also includes affordability. And it does work with any housing software. The API has been in production now for a little while. We've been testing it with some really big accounts, including NYCHA and CHA. But we've designed it so that it'll work with any housing software. Now, we are in the process of building a plugin, and this plugin actually will allow us to read your database at the database level. And that's something that will work for any database, any housing software, including Emphasis or Yardi. Let me go ahead and get you ready to go to the next slide. Go ahead, Sarah. Okay. Before we do the quick demo on RentWatch 5, there's a couple data enhancements I just want to announce. This is mostly for our current users. We've improved our public records feed. You're going to see that the public records is going to contain more information, more property details, more owner information, and also more current tax delinquent status. The reason I'm mentioning this is a lot of you right now are probably paying for tax records. And if you are, our goal is to make it so you don't have to. So if you have a vendor that you're paying for public records data, we want to be able to provide you with all the information that that vendor is giving you. So we're improving the amount of information we're displaying with our public records feeds. We've also upgraded our hardware and servers, so we've been able to double our data mining frequency, which just means that the comps are going to be even more current. We're actually visiting websites more frequently. Sarah, go ahead and queue up the website, please. All right, and go ahead and log in, please. So we're going to log into the new dashboard, and this is a demo environment, and we're going to go through the process of performing rent reasonableness. There you go. So you can move that. All right, so what you're looking at right now is the new dashboard. And again, this is going to work on a mobile phone. So if you wanted to, and you wanted to see how your agency was performing or who's doing what, this is the beginning of a dashboard that will work on any device. It's device agnostic. And it's going to replace the current user interface that you're using within Go Section 8, that old green look and feel. So start a rent reasonableness report. We just basically click on the Create button, and then it brings up the new RentWatch 5 user interface. Now, all we need to do is start typing, and you'll notice that RentWatch 5 tries to predict what the address is going to be. So again, we're trying to make this really easy. So go ahead and select that top property. That's the one we want to do. LaSalle, it was the top one. But go ahead and type in 10208. There you go. Now type in the 3 bedrooms. Now, you'll notice that it auto-completed pretty much everything. We didn't type that in. All we did was select the address, and RentWatch 5 pulled in information on this property. We get our information from your local public records. We also get it from our database. So we know a lot about these properties, and we're trying to pre-populate as much as we can for you. So put in the requested rent, please. I think it's $1,300. And then scroll down and stop there. All right, now you'll notice that there's some tabs here in the overview section. There's a map view. There is a street view. There's also the public records tab and the address verification tab. So the address verification tab has been enhanced to show you whether or not this property can actually receive mail. That's what DPV stands for, Delivery Point Validation. The public records tab, if you scroll down a little bit, Sarah, will tell you whether or not the taxes are current. You can see here they're current. If the property was in any state of foreclosure, we would have given you an alert the moment you entered the address. Scroll down some more, please, and put in the number of bedrooms and a family name. So we also integrated affordability. And the reason we did this is so that you're not having to guess whether or not, or look in your file or go back into your software. We want to be able to tell you that the rent is reasonable, but also that the family can afford it. So go ahead and calculate HAP. Now, the HAP calculation happens completely automatically. You have to enter very little information, just the gross income and adjusted income. And you can enter in a reference number if you want. Scroll down and stop there. So you'll see at the very top here it says utilities and amenities filled in based on prior certification. So what we're doing with the prior certification, we're doing a check to see whether or not the prior certification was there, and if it was, then we're going to auto-complete this information based on a prior certification. Scroll down. Same thing with amenities. Amenities are pulled from a prior certification or from the database. So go ahead and hit Analyze, please. All right, so here's what just happened. I took a little time to discuss what was new on that first page, but in the real world, you would just enter in an address, a bedroom number, very little other information, and immediately you would know whether or not the requested rent is reasonable. So in this case, we're telling you that it was reasonable, and that the estimated market rent is $13.63. Scroll down some. It'll also show you the comparables that were selected. So you'll see in this distance column that the comparables that are being selected are very, very close. Scroll down some more, please. And here's the certification section. So the certification section has a new chart in it. And if I type in an approved rent of $1,300, then it'll actually update. Go ahead and tab out of that field. And scroll up a little so I can see the chart. All right, so you can see that in this case, we're approving a rent of $1,300, but it exceeds the maximum rent allowed. The maximum rent allowed is $1,274. So I can't approve $1,300 because it exceeds the affordability requirement. Now, you can also see that we give you a notice here, like a little warning. That bar turns red when you're approving a rent that exceeds the max allowable. Sarah, go ahead and change that to $1,274. Let me give you the mouse. Okay. Go ahead and can you enter it? All right, go ahead and do it now. So type in 1274, please. And then tab out of that. And now you're good. Okay? So let's scroll down. We can't approve anything more than 1274, so that's what we're going to approve. Click Sign and Certify. And let's go back to the dashboard, and let's pull up the certification. So the certifications go into this new area where you can, this Manage Certifications page is a lot faster than the old one. And here's where you can view the PDF, you can add similar, and you can delete certifications. So what I'm going to do now is talk a little bit about the process of adding a certification. We just did it very, very quickly through RentWatch5, but there's going to be cases where you don't actually need to go through the rent reasonableness process at all because somebody else already performed a certification within an apartment building and you want to look and see what was done there. I'm going to go over the Add Similar process with you. Go ahead and click Add Similar, please. So adding a similar certification is you're going to do this whenever you're dealing with an apartment community and you want to just recreate a certification that was already done within that apartment community. And when you perform a rent reasonableness certification with RentWatch5, it'll tell you that there was previous certifications. And if you have the ability to add a similar certification, that means we verified that the previous certification is current. Comparables are current, and that you can create a new certification. Go ahead and enter in a bedroom size, voucher number, and then put in a requested rent, please, of $1,292, and then tab out of that field. Now you'll notice that it automatically pre-populates the rent approved. In this case, it's going to pre-populate it based on what was previously created. And that's basically all you need to do to create a certification from one that was already created. It will never allow you, we will never allow you to, we'll try to do our best to warn you if you're creating a certification that was already, you can't approve rents that are not reasonable, and you can't approve rents that exceed what was previously certified within an apartment building. This is what the rent reasonableness report looks like. You can see all HUD's factors are here: location, size, type, age. We adjust for each of these factors. So, for example, if you look at maintenance here, you'll see that there was an adjustment of $25 on this comparable because of lawn care. Amenities, all the adjustments are there. There's a new part that we added to the rent reasonableness report. So we've added a chart which shows you what's going on in the marketplace, in this case down to half a mile. We've also added a map. The map will show you the comparables that were selected in proximity to the subject property. Scrolling down some more, you can see the adjustments. You guys that are using this software now are very familiar with that. Now, if this were a unit that we had performed the HAP calculation on, which is optional, then it would have added the HAP information as well. Go back, please, to the dashboard. And we'll go here. All right, so what I want to do right now is create one more certification. Go ahead and start with another address. And then we're going to get into the new quality control functionality we added. And select it. And I believe that's a 3-bedroom. And what's the requested rent? Say $1,300. Say $1,250. $1,250. All right. Scroll down. So let's go down to the bottom, and now we're going to enter in the vouchers, voucher information, and the bedroom size, and calculate HAP. And move on down to the bottom. All this information is pre-populated. All looks good to me. It's based on a prior certification. So we're just going to go down, the amenities checkout, click Analyze. You'll see the validation too. If we're missing something, it'll tell you at the very top. Validation is really clear. You just saw a previous certification notification. So that will tell you that there was a previous certification, and you'll have the ability to redo that, to add a similar certification if it's in the apartment building. So let's go down, Sarah, and let's approve this rent. $1,250. That checks out. All the bars are green, so we're good to go, and we're going to create this certification. So that's it. It creates a certification really quickly. And what we did with this certification is we also created a HAP worksheet. So there's a HAP worksheet in the PDF report. Here's a new local market analysis. These are the comparables. Notice how close they are. And here's your HAP. So the HAP information is customized for each of your agencies. We use your utility schedules. We use your payment standards. We'll be able to do this down to the census tract level, and we'll be able to handle exception payment standards. So the HAP information is a real nice thing to have, and it's really easy to do, and it's part of RentWatch 5 now. Now that we did this, let's go back, and we'll take a look at the process of quality controlling the certification. So part of what we wanted to do was make it really easy for you to actually review certifications that were created by possibly new staff, or you wanted to be able to defend yourself for, in case you're audited. So the process of reviewing and approving a certification has been improved. Those of you that have been with us for a while remember the old comparison form, the grid. Well, this is the new grid. And the difference between this and the old one has been completely rewritten. But this supports up to 9 comparables, and it'll also work on a mobile phone. You'll see at the very top there's options to delete or replace a comparable. There's similarity, and there's credibility ratings at the very top. And then going down here, everything in the old form was here. It's all here, but it's a lot easier to use. One of the nice things about this form is that all the adjustments are automatic. So when you see an adjustment here, superior $50, if I were to go in and change anything on the subject property, those numbers change automatically. You don't have to go in and hit a calculate button, or before it was more of a manual process where you have to remember to calculate the adjustments. At the very, very bottom, you'll have a grid and the quality control certified checkbox. So with the right permissions, you can have people QC these reports pretty quickly. Everything is in the report in a grid format, so it's easy to read. Now what we're going to do is show you some of the more advanced functionality. So we're going to create another certification. Pick any address. Sarah, and let's get to the map. So the map that we put in the RentWatch 5 is a little more advanced than the RentWatch 4 map. It automatically selects comparables by itself, but also there's some really cool analytics and neighborhood information in it. We're going to pull that up for you right now. So we're going to go down, and you have to enter in the number of voucher bedrooms, sewer type. Thank you. All right, once we click Analyze, we'll pick between 3 and 9 comparables based on your agency setting. By default, we have it set to 3. Scroll down a little bit. You'll see the 3 selected comparables here. And the distance is 0.12 miles, 0.12 miles. They're all really close. Let's assume you want more comparables. You're not happy with the 3 comparables that were selected. You click View More Comparables. And then you have a map. Now, what this map does, it shows you all the comparables that are nearby. And we're not just showing you everything. You don't need to see efficiencies if this is a 3-bedroom or a 2-bedroom. So it's showing you all the similar comparables nearby. Now, on this map, I can actually draw on it on the left with a radius tool or with a pen tool. The pen tool allows me to use, in this case I'm using, go ahead and Sarah and draw on it for me. Just use my mouse to actually draw a line. And this, we drew a poor shape there, but draw another shape. All right, so draw another shape anywhere you want on that, maybe closer to the river or something. There you go. Okay, close it off. All right, when I draw on the map, it reselects the most similar comparables and the best comparables within the area that I selected. So if I go to the chart now, this is a pretty interesting chart. Anytime I interact with the map, the chart updates. So in the chart area over to the right, the rightmost column, I have the selected area. And in that area, I have a median rent of $850 and an average rent of $894. You can see it here at the bottom of the screen. Now, that circle within that area, that represents the quarter-mile radius. And that's where the software figured out it needed to be. It said the best comps are within a quarter mile. We don't want to go any further than that. You'll notice that the area rents in Chicago are much higher than the ones in the location that we chose. If I want to add more comparables, Sarah, go ahead and select a few more comparables, please. All you have to do is click the Add button. If I want to look at the comparable and get more detail before I add it, then you just click the address. Now, when I do that, I'm going to get all the information on this comparable. We call it our comparable card. So on this, you're going to have a map view and a street view. Also, there's going to be photos in many cases. We're adding photos to these comparables and to the subject units. Scroll down. And all the adjustments are here, including all of the property characteristics. And you can close the comparable card. So the functionality that we're showing to you now is more advanced, right? So you were able to see that it creates certifications automatically, and it usually does it within a minute or so. But there's going to be users in the agency that you may want to have more advanced functionality, and this is permission-based. And they can go here, interact with the map, interact with the chart, view comparable detail, and select up to 9 comparables. It's great for quality control people. Once I've selected my comparables, they appear up here where it says 6 selected comparables. You can see at the top. Mouse over that for me. All right. And also there's some filters. So if you wanted to, you could go back and change the list date. You can change the property types, and you can return even more data on the map. Now, we don't delete comparables. They're in here forever. So if you have to perform historic rent reasonableness reports, you can. You can just change the list date if you're ever in an audit situation and you want to perform rent reasonableness for some older properties, you can. Okay, cancel that out. And let's go ahead and complete this certification. So the process of completing the certification is pretty simple. You just enter in the approved rent. And you click Sign and Certify. Okay, now it's going to generate a PDF. We'll take us back to the dashboard here. And we're going to look at the PDF that we just created. And you should notice that we selected more comparables than before. Our old users, you're used to seeing 3 comps, but now you can have multiple pages of comparables. So here you'll have 6 comps. So you can have up to 3 pages of comps, and all the adjustments are in here for each. The local market analysis, all the comparables that are selected, and here's a grid which shows you the 6 comparables and how similar they are. All right, Sarah, do me a favor, open up the interface and see if we have any questions. There's a little more to talk about, but I want to take a quick look and see if we have questions. I know some of you guys are saying there's no sound. I really hope you heard me. Most of you said you can.
We're recording it. Rich, we will give everybody individual training on this. I think you went too fast, maybe.
Now remember, guys, this was a demo. So everybody, this was a demo. We didn't mean this to be a training. What we're going to do while we're looking for questions is I want to put up some information here. Bring up the slide. And there you go. Bring up that last slide, please. So what we're going to do is reach out to you all individually, and we're going to set up individual trainings. The trainings are complimentary. It's something we always do. So if you have any questions, we will be able to address a lot of them in a training, and we're probably going to reach out to you within the next 6 to 8 weeks. We have over 400 agencies we're trying to transition to this, so we're trying to set up timelines to transition everybody. And now we're going to look at the questions. Go ahead, Sarah, pick a question for me. There's a million of them here.
I have staff who use Go Section 8, so I'm not familiar with it. How do we know that the comparables are valid? In other words, how do we know that what landlords list as asking rents, what are they getting in actual rent?
All right, so the credibility question comes up a lot. You can't make an assumption that a comparable is a valid comparable just because the landlord listed it for X number of dollars. What we built in order to verify comparables is a credibility indicator, and I'm going to go back to the software to answer this. Let's go ahead and create a report really quick and move this.
Yes, that.
All right. All right, we're going to create a report, and I'm going to discuss credibility. So the software, when it returns those comparables that it picks, it uses 3 things. The algorithm determines, it looks at 3 things that are really, really important. Is number 1, how similar the comparable is to the subject property. How similar is it to in bedrooms, amenities, bathrooms, square footage, that type of thing, year built. Then it looks at distance. It tries to stay as close as it possibly can. And then it looks at credibility, and that's the measure we use to determine whether or not a comparable is credible or not. And credibility is a statistical measure, and what we do is we look at all the data we have in the neighborhood where the comparables are, and we determine whether or not comps are potentially outliers, and we'll show that to you in a second. Click on View More Comparables, please. So on this map, you're going to have different colors. The colors are going to be green, yellow, and red. Green means they're very, very similar. Yellow means they're somewhat similar. Red means they're not similar. And also over to the right here in the list, you'll see a credibility indicator with a percentage. That means that that property, if it's green and it's got a high numerical rating, a high percentage rating, that property is reasonably priced when compared to other comparables in this area. So it's not out of whack. So we use the data to determine credibility. If a landlord comes into this neighborhood and lists something for $1,500 or $1,600 when the median rent for this neighborhood is $1,300, it won't be credible and the software won't pick it and will turn it red and you won't want to pick it. All right, Sarah, I hope that answered the question. We're going to take another one.
can it include the census tract? This would be used for CMAS, a deconcentration bonus indicator.
I'm not going to pull up where it does that, but it does do that. We do include the census tract. So the census tract is actually already in the report, and it's in the public records section of RentWatch 5. So we will pull in the census tract for you. We're also adding the census tract to the map. So you'll be able to see the census tract as a layer on the map, and you'll be able to see concentration of housing within each. All right, we're going to go to another question.
Is it required to include the family data, such as income, to access the rent reasonable comparables?
Okay, so the HAP portion of RentWatch 5 does not require you to enter in, you're not required to enter in family income to perform rent reasonableness. So it's optional. The HAP calculation is completely optional, but if you have the family information, the way that we integrate it, it's a really nice to have. So I would suggest you do it. It doesn't take that much time, but you do not have to enter in the HAP information. And on renewals, you're probably not going to want to. All right, we're picking another one.
Okay. You said it would not let you approve more than rents previously approved for the building. What about rent increases?
Rent increase is a different story. So what we're talking about is when you enter in an approved rent and there's a previous certification in a building. So here's the story that gets a lot of people into trouble. There's a bunch of people doing rent reasonableness in the office, and this one building has a lot of families living in it. Somebody approves a rent for $1,200, then the next person in the agency approves rent for $1,300 in the same exact model. Now you're in trouble, because now that landlord's going to send you over his rent roll, and he's going to ask for rent increases on all of his units. So we give you a warning. We give you a warning. You can approve a rent higher than previously approved in the building, but we're going to warn you and say that potentially this property should not be approved because of X, because there was a previous certification found.
Next.
Going to another question here.
Next question, similar. You indicated that the last rent approved would be the current approval. What happens when the market changes? Are we able to approve new rent based on the market?
All right, so again, this is another add similar certification. This is not, you can always perform rent reasonableness from scratch with RentWatch 5. It doesn't take long to do. That will give you the current market rent. That's how you should start. When you perform rent reasonableness with RentWatch 5, it'll tell you that there was previous certifications done, and there's an agency setting. You're going to have an agency default where you can say, if I have a requirement that all comparables are no more than 3 months old or no more than 6 months old, then you'll have the ability to add a similar certification. But we won't allow you to unless your agency setting is there. So you're going to have to tell us that as long as the previous certification is no more than that has comparables in it that are listed no more than 3 months old, then you won't see it. So if it's an older certification that may be stale with stale comps in it, you won't even see the opportunity to add a similar certification. We'll make you do another one. All right, we're going to go ahead, Sarah.
If anyone has any other questions, please type them into the question box. We have a few similar questions. Who sets the agency settings?
The agency settings are maintained either by you or us. Typically what happens with agency settings is we do all the work for you. So you'll send us an email with your utility schedules and your payment standards, and then you'll define your agency settings with us when we set up your account, and we do all that work. And we have a lot more here, guys. We have a ton of questions, but I think the best way to handle it, too, is with the one-to-ones. So if you want to get set up on this and do a training with your staff, we'll do that as frequently as we have to. One more question. Go ahead.
How frequently does Go Section 8 update their comparables?
All right, the comparables are updated every day. So here's how we mine our data. We mine several hundred different websites, and we crawl them every day, just like Google does. So Google visits websites, and they crawl websites all the time, so do we. So we mine our data, and we update our data every day. What you're going to see with the new dashboard in real time is how many comps are coming in. So that's something that's new in the dashboard. There's a rent comparable section. So you'll be able to see, and this is all dummy data, but this is, if it's your account, you'll see how many comparables we're adding and how many comparables you have, so you'll see how frequently they come in. Another question we often get is, how often do we remove data? We don't. So you're going to be able to do historic rent reasonableness reports. But by default, we're going to pull in the comparables that are within 12 months or sooner based on your agency settings. So if you have a 6-month rule in a rapidly changing market, then it'll pull in comparables that are 6 months old. You can always override those.
So what we'll do now is we'll wrap up, and if anyone has any additional questions specific to your agency and specific to your needs, you can email us at hasupport@gosection8.com. We'll be happy to answer your questions and even show you an online demonstration of the software.
All right, guys. What we're going to do is put up on the screen here how you reach us. You can always call us or you can email us. We've got a long list of clients. We're going to transition over to this, and we're going to start doing that really, really soon. Probably 6 to 8 weeks before we get to mostly everybody. Sarah's been great. Send her emails after this, and if you have any questions, just address them to her, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. If you guys want to set up a one-to-one training, we'd be happy to do that as well. We can do that before we transition as well. All right, guys. I hope everybody heard me, and I really appreciate the time.
And the webinar is being recorded, so if anyone would like to listen in again, or if they did have those audio troubles, we'll email them. And we would love to hear your feedback on the new software. You can send that to us in an email or by calling HA support line. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.